Welcome back to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast. I, of course, am your host, KC Phoenix. And yeah, it's time for another daily thought. I actually recorded one yesterday. I didn't upload it. Obviously, I'm uploading it today. And then, of course, this one. Because I haven't done any... When's the last time I uploaded one? Yeah, the last daily thought I did was on January the 2nd. So it's been a minute. It's been almost a month since I've done a daily thought. So here we are. Also, before I go any further, kirwkc.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Okay. Now, also, disclaimer, viewer discretion or listener discretion advised. I rarely put the explicit label on my episodes for my podcast, but for this one I will. I'm not going to discuss this in a, in a very descriptive fashion or anything like that. It's just the subject matter itself might be considered taboo. So, yeah. This is one of these TMI discussions, I guess you could say. So, based off of the title, I hadn't had sex in 2 years. And part of it was not intentional in the sense of, okay, so for my longtime listeners, my Firebirds know, because I used to talk about it all the time. I haven't talked about the mono and the parvo in a minute. But in March of 2020, I got mono and parvo at the same time. So my body was all types of messed up. And after I went to the doctor, which wasn't my doctor, it was just the doctor on duty that day. And it was right when all of the other drama of 2020 was going down. So when I'm going to see the doctor about my issues, I was like, well, they're talking about this. And then the doctor was like, please, that's not it. I was like, okay. And the doctor was like, you'll be fine. It's just a little bit of, what did he say? Like sinuses or something like that. But then I wasn't feeling better. It seemed like it was getting worse. So I ended up talking to my doctor, which is amazing. I miss my doctor so much. I miss her so much. I want my doctor back. But when I was talking to her, she's like, it sounds like you have mono. I was like, really? She's like, yeah, what you're telling me, it sounds like mono. She's really good at that. Like, you can give her the stuff, and no matter how rare or how whatever it is, I don't know if you've seen that television show House. That's kind of like how my doctor is. You take the information to her, and then she just starts going through it, and then she's like, it's probably this. Like, she's really good like that. So I go ahead and just deal with it. My body was doing all types of stuff where I couldn't even participate in sex if I wanted to at that time. And I wasn't even the solo stuff. I couldn't even do solo stuff. I actually went without solo stuff for almost a year. So I wasn't having regular sex, meaning I wasn't dealing with anyone. And then I wasn't even doing solo stuff either for almost a year. And I remember one of my friends, we were talking and I had told him that. He's like, you've went almost a year without solo stuff. And I'm like, yeah, because I just haven't been able to. And he's like, I go crazy. So yeah, but finally it was almost a year, and then back to solo, and everything was somewhat good. It was different but good, and over time that got better. And then I had relations with my ex at the time in February of 2021. So, because it was like, okay, solo stuff seems to be okay. I think I can do the actual act with someone. And then it was my ex, because we still dealt with each other. And yeah, that was February of 2021. after that, I had not had sex until this February of 2023. And that was last weekend. And strangely, my mother always calls when I'm having sex for some reason. It's like the woman knows. Because I hadn't had sex in 2 years. And then in the middle of the act, my phone starts ringing and I happen to look over and then it has mother on it. And I'm like, really? After 2 years of me not doing anything, when I finally decide to do it again, you're calling? But I love my mother. I love my mother. I do. Which I have to call her again too. And because I have to discuss something with her. But anyways, so yeah, I ended up having sex. And it was funny because I let him know what the deal was. It's like, dude, it's been 2 years. I don't know what my performance will be like. Because not to brag, but I've received praise in the past. I've been told I'm very skilled. So yeah, I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I still got it. It just asks me, like, so you're nervous? I'm like, yeah, I am nervous. But apparently, everything was good. There was like one thing that I didn't really care for, but I mean, it was what it was. So if it had been different, it would have been approached differently. But, it was all good. And I guess according to him, my performance was praiseworthy. So I guess it all worked out. But yeah, the first year of not having sex, like from February 2021 to February 2022 or whatever, within that time frame, it was mostly because I didn't feel comfortable with all the changes that my body went through with the mono and the parvo. So I was just like, okay, I'm not that pressed about it. And then the following year, from February 2022 to February 2023, it was just more like, I don't feel like being bothered. I don't. Because people, man, I'm moody. I'm a Cancer, as a lot of my longtime listeners know. We're very moody people. Now, don't get me wrong. Even when we're moody, if we rock with you, we rock with you. Like if you have a friend that's a Cancer, you better treat that friend good. Because if a Cancer rocks with you, we showing up. If we get caught, we get caught. It isn't, and what I mean by that is, we wouldn't let anybody take the fall for us. It's just like, okay, we did it together, we gonna take the consequences together. Not everybody moves in that energy. So, yeah. But we're moody. So, I usually don't feel like being bothered with people. And it's the same thing with sex. Because I get offers and I chat with people online and stuff, and I get hit up and everything, and it's like, oh, da-da-da-da. I'm like, dude, look, I'm just chatting for right now. I'm not looking to just hop into the bed just yet with anyone. And especially with all the stuff out here now that's going on, I'm just like, and people be crazy too. That's the other thing. Once you let somebody into your energy, it can be a task to get them out of your energy and not deal with them. So you just have to be funny about who you deal with. And one thing I remember, I was talking to someone many years ago, and I said to him, I was like, you don't really have that many friends. And he's like, yeah, less friends, less problems. And I was like, okay, all right. And as time went on, I got it, because yeah. And it's the same thing with the sex life and stuff. You have all of these people surrounding you, people that you deal with, but you always have to ask yourself, like, what benefit do they bring to your energy? And it's not a thing of, and please do not misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying deal with someone, whether it's for friends, whether it's for sex, whether it's for whatever. I'm not saying deal with someone just be that they have to have this, and that. I'm not saying that. You can be penniless and have nothing and still contribute to someone's energy. You can raise someone's vibration. So that's the question. What are they doing to raise the vibration, to raise the frequency, or get you more in tune with the frequency? I'm trying to get these words correct here. I don't think that people should just socialize just to socialize. I believe people should socialize with those who are looking to raise the vibration. You don't want to surround yourself with people who don't want anything. That's what I'm saying. Again, you can be penniless, but if you have goals, dreams, aspirations, that type of stuff, you want better in your life, that's a good frequency because you're aspiring to be something. And it's the same thing even with the people where you have friends with benefits. Those friends with benefits have to have goals. Now, yes, there are some people where if you're like, you know what, I'm not looking for someone who has goals. All I want is to get the sexual energy from them. And then that's it. I don't want anything else. And that's totally your option. That's totally fine. For me personally, if I have a friend with benefits, I would rather than be an actual friend. And to be an actual friend of mine, I want you on a certain frequency or trying to raise your vibration to that frequency. You know what I mean? So that's what I look at. And because I was being approached by people who I felt, and still approached by people who I feel are not on the frequency that I'm on, I usually just decline, even though I might be sexually attracted to the person. It's just like when it comes to emotion and everything else, I'm not energetically attracted to the person. It's just the frequencies aren't matching. So, and that's what happened over the 2 years. Part of it was, okay, my body is doing the most. At one point in my areolas, they were filled with fluid. And this went on for probably a year and a half, almost, maybe almost the full, not full two. So I'd probably say, a year and a half to maybe 18 months, which is about the time it takes, the maximum time it takes to get over mono. Is like 18 months, I think is the max. Even though some people still have issues later on in life due to the things that mono does. But when it comes to that, they finally went back to normal. Where it's flat now. There's no fluid in them now. But can you imagine where you didn't have fluid in your chest area before in the areolas, and then for a year and a half, all you have is fluid. They don't stay flat at all. But now they're flat again. Everything's flat again. It's normal. And I'm thankful for that. There were so many nights where I was just praying in bed, man. You just don't know. I would put on the Tyler Perry play, Medea's Class Reunion. And there's the song that Cora, Tamala Mann, sings when she's talking to Miss Emma. And it's for everything there is a reason. And I would just listen to that song all the time. And then I'd be in bed praying. My body would literally be spasming out. Like I'd have crazy spasms and everything. There was even one point where it was like the room was flashing and stuff. And then I just blacked out. Like I woke up one night and the room was just flashing, flashes. And my body was like twitching and spasming and doing all these other things. And then I just blacked out. And then I woke up the next day and stuff. It was crazy things like that were happening to me. I didn't really tell anyone about it because it's just kind of like, okay, what can they do? And if I were to tell people about it, then they would be worried for nothing because there really isn't anything that they can do. So I just prayed a lot. And, here I am. So clearly, prayer works. So, yeah. But my body just wasn't up for it. And then with the other half, it's just like, I didn't want to be bothered. So I didn't have any sex at all. And because also with that other year, I was back to solo anyway. So it's just kind of like, I don't have to deal with anyone to handle what I need to handle. So yeah, I was kind of in that energy too, but it was mostly the energy wasn't matching with the people that were approaching me throughout that time. So yeah, and then finally I met someone, which strangely is not from the United States. And for the most part, he was consistent with conversation and stuff, because that's a huge thing for me, is consistency. And that's one thing I noticed. And I don't know if it's a Dallas thing or just a worldwide thing. I feel like it might be a worldwide thing. People just are not consistent these days. And it may have something to do with attention span as well, because now we're in a short attention span type thing. And with short attention spans comes instant gratification. And if you have a lot of people in this instant gratification energy, it can be difficult to make a genuine connection with people. And that's what I was looking for. Is like, okay, well, if I'm about to get physical with someone, I want someone that I can have an actual genuine connection with. And it just so happens this person was the person. And now the 2-year period of celibacy is over. So yeah, but all good. Anyways, I just thought that was interesting. And I guess the other thing to say with that is it's okay to wait. You don't have to feel like, oh, I need to have it right now, because sometimes it isn't even worth it. Just saying. Anyways, that's my daily thought. kirwkc.com, main podcasting platform. Podcast carried everywhere. kirwkc on all the social media platforms. Until next time, be blessed.